Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. I'm your boy E here, Eric Rodriguez, every Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, 11 p.m. Eastern time. Talk about all things professional wrestling. Talk about WWE a lot of the times. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to, feed you guys a web of lies. But, WWE, AEW, Ring of Honor, New Japan Professional Wrestling, TNA. Stardom sometimes, Major League Wrestling a little bit of the time, the National Wrestling Alliance. It's gonna get better. 1,010%. I really, I wish I could watch all the shows. That'd be badass. But then you gotta, more subscriptions. And if you're anything like me, you're kind of like one of those guys that or girl or whatever, where you're kind of scrolling through your phone, you get this notification from your bank, and be like, oh, so and so, took 1099 out of your bank account. You're like, what? Like, what? Are you serious right now? Then you pop it up, and you're like, oh my god, I'm still subscribed to that. I feel like I don't know. I really have like so many subscriptions that I'm like trying to kind of deal with. I do watch highlights. I do watch a lot of highlights, and I like Ring of Honor. I love TNA. I think TNA is pretty awesome. Definitely one of the companies that are under the radar. But yeah. So thank you for tuning in to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate podcast. We have a great show for you today on tap. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. We're going to talk about my Thursday night wrestling preview. Take your hand with Eric, step into the ring of TNA Impact and also Ring of Honor. And then we're going to talk about how NXT and TNA are, heading toward a promising mutual benefiting relationship. And we're going to dig into that for a third segment. Segment number 4, we're going to talk about blood. We're going to talk about some blood in professional wrestling. Why wrestling promotions kind of do it, why it's been done in the past, and why it's, do you have WWE heading toward Netflix? Obviously, the PG era might be over, heading to like a PG-13. And other wrestling promotions like AEW, TNA, Ring of Honor, and New Japan Professional, they all do it. They all do it. So we're going to talk about why exactly, they kind of push those barriers to kind of have blood within the wrestling promotions. And our fifth and final segment, we have our Thursdays Superstar Spotlight. We're going to talk about All Ego, the NXT World Heavyweight Champion, Ethan Page. But before we get into that, I want to remind you guys to use the tips and donations link at the GSMCpodcast.net. Shoot me your comments, questions, and concerns. Tell me, basically all your wrestling predictions. Give me all your wrestling thoughts. Give me, just people you want to see have the title. Give me a shout out where you're listening from. There's no right or wrong answers, obviously, in the world of professional wrestling. A little bit of ambiguity ultimately makes for a better show. So, 1,010%, don't be shy. Hit up the chat. If you could donate, that'd be cool. Not really necessary, but, be a part of this show. It's going to be awesome. 1,010%. The show is all about you guys, the fans. Once again, the link is at the GSMCpodcast.net. All right, so we have segment 1. We're going to talk about AEW Dynamite. It was pretty good. I feel like I said that within every AEW Dynamite episode I end up reviewing and stuff like that. So no, all in all, I feel like it was a pretty awesome episode. You saw the promotion start off with Will Ospreay come out to address the crowd. A lot of people kind of got a little bad vibes. When I kind of saw him walk out there in a somber mood, I was like, dude, poor Will Ospreay. He was so close to beating Swerve Strickland for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship, obviously to no avail. But then, and the whole challenge by MJF, it was, called him a little, I'm not sure if I can say that on this PG error of, podcasting I got here, but, and then he also said, hey, I will see you next week, B word, bam. Oh, I wish I could say it, because when you say it, it just establishes such a huge, an ambiance, like a feeling, like a single word could change your mood, change your emotions, get you invested into something that you're like, oh, I'm not sure if I was really interested in that before then. And then Will Ospreay is going to take on MJF next week for the AEW International Championship. Should be pretty awesome. I don't know if they're so, gung-ho about giving the title to MJF so early. I see this match. Obviously, it's going to be interrupted. Obviously, there's going to be some foul play. You're going to see Daniel Garcia getting his own, finding a way to kind of build up that, just because Daniel Garcia is going to interfere in this match doesn't necessarily mean it was like, oh, AEW can't really put on a good AEW International Championship match. No, I don't think that at all. I think this is going to be a great way to screw over MJF. MJF attacked and demolished, freaking victimized Daniel Garcia on Dynamite last week. So now Daniel Garcia is going to have his revenge. And this ultimately, brings up for a better AEW All In, because I don't know who Will Ospreay will take on for the AEW International Championship. I know they are having a number one contenders match next week on Dynamite, I believe, or it might be on Rampage. Don't quote me on that. But it's just all building up. It's all building up toward a AEW All In at Wembley Stadium in England. MJF obviously still has a lot to prove. Not so much because, I feel like the company really does have their back on superstars like MJF, Swerve Strickland, Will Ospreay, also in the women's division, Mercedes Moné, and also Timeless Toni Storm. And as a wrestling promotion, I feel like they've done a good job for that. But ever since MJF came back, I was like, I kind of feel bad for the dude because he has to come out and have to cut a flawless promo every single time because they're kind of fighting for ratings. They're also fighting for just people to come out, buy ticket sales, also marketing, merchandising, and stuff like that. It all comes under one umbrella. You know what I mean? It all comes full circle. And I feel like I don't know, MJF and Will Ospreay face to face on Dynamite. It's a great start. It's a great start. It's gonna be awesome. All right, moving on. We have the men's Owen Hart Cup Final. We had Bryan Danielson take on Hangman Adam Page. This match was really good. A lot of back and forth. For the longest time, you had Hangman kind of victimizing Bryan, kind of targeting that bad neck to the point where everybody was like, "Oh no, like this is going to be the end of Bryan Danielson." Kind of that hero role that they like to put the baby faces inside, and I feel like Bryan Danielson was in that card 1,010%. Hangman Adam Page came back. He lost the match. Bryan Danielson won. Bryan Danielson has won the men's Owen Hart Cup Final and will challenge AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland at All In Wembley Stadium. I like it. I think that's going to be a great main event. Once again, Swerve Strickland is put in a spot where he has to face one of the company's best. I think it's good for him, but once again, every single match I've watched Swerve Strickland fight in, it's always been up in the air. It's always been, unpredictable. I'm like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen next. A lot of the other titles, you're like, okay, I kind of, got an idea of how it's going to end. You know what I mean? But the way they're handling the AEW World Championship, the AEW Creative, I feel like it's, pretty good, pretty good. So yeah, then you saw Swerve Strickland come out. Swerve announces, that at Blood and Guts he will lead Team TNA, and then he will take care of Bryan Danielson at AEW All In, one of the most important pay-per-views in all Elite Wrestling. But so now you have Mark Briscoe. You also have the AEW World Heavyweight Champion Swerve Strickland at Blood and Guts. And if you guys don't know what Blood and Guts is, it's going to be like an NXT kind of War Games. You have two rings side by side, covered by one cage. They should do a triple cage. That'd be pretty badass. That'd be so that's so WCW stardom, but I think that's Starcade. I think it'd be badass. All right, next we have Samoa Joe taking on Chris Jericho in a street fight. It wasn't. I don't think it was mentioned that it was for the FTW Championship. So I was like, all right, but when you kind of see something like that as a wrestling fan, you're like, you know what? I don't think this match is really gonna hold that much. I don't know how to explain it. Like that much, like it stands out. You know what I mean? Like I knew it was gonna end with like something bad happening, either a huge brawl when Hook and Shibata comes out to protect Samoa Joe, or you have the Learning Tree, Big Bill, and the Bad Apple, Brian Keith. But you saw the match end. They stopped the match after Chris Jericho lifted Samoa Joe on a forklift, drove him through many walls. It was about 2 or 3. And he was done. He was down. He was down and out. It was kind of crazy to kind of see Samoa Joe in that kind of position. And then after You saw the ambulance take Samoa Joe away. Then you had Chris Jericho be like, bye guys, like, you know what I mean? Hopefully he's kind of heading for like this maybe this heel turn, maybe like this sadistic person, kind of relating to like Bray Wyatt. Maybe that could be the case. That would be, a whole different character change for Chris Jericho. Is kind of in need right now, especially at his age, especially how long he's been with the wrestling organization. Obviously he was with WWF and WCW beforehand. So it's like I feel like we already kind of know who Chris Jericho is. But I feel like just like a huge character makeover would ultimately put AEW over. And yeah, honestly, it would be for it 1,010%. It's kind of crazy. All right, next we have the number one contenders match for the AEW International Championship. You saw Kyle Fletcher taking on Tomo Shiro. Sorry, don't judge me. Ishii, Claudio Castagnoli, and the Bastard Pack. After all it was said and done, although it was a great match, and I honestly kind of thought it would have been cool for Kyle Fletcher to win and kind of take on his protege, kind of like a Mariah May, kind of like a timeless Toni Storm. Kyle Fletcher's protege, in the Don Callis family was Will Ospreay. So I don't know, it just would have been, pretty awesome to kind of see those guys go face to face. But instead, you have the Bastard Pack winning. He's going to fight whoever wins out of MJF and Will Ospreay on Dynamite in 2 weeks. So pretty awesome, not bad. All right, next we have the CEOs, Mercedes Moné celebrations once again. Britt Baker shows up, and she's just DMD. No, like Britt is like so over with the fans right now. She's absolutely over with the fans right now. The fans love her. It's to the point where like when she came back, you kind of have to put Mercedes Moné in that, in that heel kind of role. You've kind of seen her reference the Elite. Sorry, excuse me, it's sweating, kind of crazy. You kind of see her like referencing the Elite, seeing that you guys are like buddy, showing that Mercedes Moné is kind of heading toward a heel run. But with Matthew and Nicholas Jackson on your side, obviously you have a little edge there. So you're gonna see Britt Baker and Mercedes Moné fight in the future. Obviously not at Wembley Stadium, which is kind of crazy. Maybe she takes on like Mariah May for her number one contenders match. That would be pretty awesome. That'd be kind of crazy. But you will not. No, oh my God, she's taking on the. Yeah, no, I just solved my own riddle here. So we have Mariah May taking on Toni Storm, and then you have Mercedes Moné taking on Britt Baker for the TBS Championship at All In. Dang, that kind of worked all out. That's kind of cool. So then you saw Darby Allin once again is backstage. I don't know if he's cleared yet by AEW medical professionals, but it was kind of cool to see him back there. I'm a huge fan of Darby Allin. As soon as I started watching AEW, I was like, dude, this guy's sick. Definitely love this guy. And but yeah, and the last match, lastly from AEW Dynamite, we have the Women's Owen Hart Cup championship match. You have Willow of Nightingale comes out. She was representing Owen Hart, wearing the power, the what is it, the Whomper, I think it is, or the get up or whatever. Then you have Mariah May coming out with her protege, timeless Toni Storm. It was cool. It was pretty cool. Like it built up a lot of just a lot of possibilities, a lot of unpredictability. I thought this match was going to end a little bit differently, obviously. But then, you saw Chris Statlander get involved, which I knew was going to happen. So you'll probably see a match between her and Willow of Nightingale at AEW Wembley Stadium. But then you saw Mariah May win. Mariah May, she's been, training under timeless Toni Storm for the longest time. She's learned a lot from her. Obviously, the way she cut that promo was like, how could you be mad at me, Toni? You're the one who taught me to be this way. Like, you know what I mean? So at the end of the match, you saw Mariah May and Toni Storm hand in hand running up to the Owen Hart Cup trophy. And then Mariah May grabs the belt, just absolutely impales it into Toni Storm's face. Toni Storm is busted open. There's blood everywhere. She grabs her high heel, grabs the heel of the high heel, sticks it in that open wound. You just see blood gushing out of timeless Toni Storm. It was crazy. It was, A lot of action, a lot of blood. I, if you were just a casual viewer of wrestling, you probably flicked on that channel. You saw this, a beautiful woman like, Toni Storm. You just see blood gushing down. You stop. You're like, oh, like what's happening right here? And then, that's why blood is, kind of important within professional wrestling. And we're going to talk about it within our third segment. So make sure you do not go anywhere. All right. So, that was my AEW Dynamite review. It's pretty dope, pretty cool. And now we're going to jump on into Eric's Thursday Night Wrestling preview. We're going to talk about TNA Impact, and we're also going to talk about Ring of Honor. So, hey, stay where you are, grab your favorite drink, grab your favorite snack, and get ready for some more GSMC Wrestling content.